Kenny, that was a historically significant performance by Cam and your rushing attack. He said that felt disrespected by the three-man fronts. Can you just talk about that aspect of the game and then how he performed in the group?
Yeah, our guys have been working hard, and inside run's been a bloodbath. All spring ball, fall camp, and when our guys are in the locker room saying, "Let's make this inside run period," right? That's when you know like there's a mindset about it, and I think they did that. They played hard, they played with a passion, and we ran the ball. And I feel bad for 10 over here because part of when you run the ball like that, and then you have that lead like that. Right, you get out of a rhythm at quarterback. It's impossible to keep him in a rhythm. So now we're forcing him to play out of rhythm in his second start in college football. And then people, see him throw it in completion. They're like, "Oh, why didn't you complete it?" Yeah, he's in no rhythm because we're running the ball. Like, that's not how you actually lead to quarterback success. So really weird flow of the game because in the second half they had such quick touchdowns that kept them in it there in those last three possessions or 3 out of the last 4 possessions there. And that really got our quarterback out of a rhythm, and that's not his fault. That's my fault because I kept saying, keep running the ball, right? We got the game right where we want it. We got the dub because of it. It just not conducive to like a good stat line or, a good performance. You're never going to look at that. And that's not his fault. That's my fault.
Michelle Gardner, Arizona Republic. Coach, you talked about overcoming adversity. You didn't have a lot of adversity in the first game. So your take on how your team responded in that regard tonight?
Yeah, even though it probably lost 3 months off my life, our team needed that. We needed to get hit in the face. We needed to have to get back up. We got really comfortable. We drove the ball 8 minutes on the first drive. You look at how we won the middle 8. We had the ball with about 6 minutes left to go in the first half. We drove down, scored to essentially end the half, 7 points, get the ball back, take 8.5 minutes off the clock, get 3 points. We had the ball consecutively for about 14 game minutes there in the middle of the game, and that's unbelievable management by our offensive coaches and our offensive staff to keep their offense off the field for that long and get 10 points. But for us to get hit back in the mouth and then have to get up, that's what I was proud of. And we got up with a vengeance, and we needed that because we're not going to have 17, 24-point leads every halftime, right? We're going to be in some dogfights, and we got to be able to go back and forth with counterpunches. And I think today we finally had to punch back.
Doug Franz Unplugged podcast. Take me through the 2 fourth down decisions you had in the fourth quarter, 4th and 6 before the one-play 80-yard drive, and then the 4th down that you went for it on 4th and 1 pretty deep in your own territory. How much did you hesitate on either decision? What was the conversation? Talk me through that.
No hesitation. It's 4th and 1. Get it. Go get it. Hand it to our best player, block them, and go get it. We're running the ball well, right? Let's go get it. We're going to try to win the football game and be aggressive winning the football game. And if the flow of the game is running the ball well, then that plays into our strengths. That was it. Zero flinch, zero question. It was, hey, if we get to less than 2 here, go for it.
Did you think about going for it on 4th and 6 before that?
No, that's a little much. Just with the flow of the game, with what our strength was in the game and how the flow was, that wasn't a down and distance where our calls, I felt like, were quite as good as when we were in those short yardage situations.
Last week you said the 4-minute drill was the worst part of the game. What does it show to you that they can come back 1 week later and execute what was arguably the perfect 4-minute drill? Yeah,
it was awesome. We literally in our meeting today or on a Friday, we do like a Friday focus or like football 101 type stuff. And I said, listen, we're going to get the ball back with 6 minutes. And our goal is to score with under 25 seconds, right, and get 7 points. That's our goal. And then we get the ball in the second half and go score again. And the fact that we got it in somewhat that time frame with 0 timeouts, which make it way more difficult to manage the clock and the flow because you can't just run it and call timeouts. Now, they called a timeout, which definitely did help us from that perspective, be able to run different calls and change personnel groupings. But that's what we talked about, and we executed it, and we responded from last week. Unbelievable job. That 14 minutes straight of our offense on the field, right? That's the difference in the football game. That 10 points right in the middle there, right? You take away those 10 points in the middle, right? That swing. And we don't go into halftime with a 24-point lead. I mean, we don't get to a 27-point lead. So unbelievable job by those guys.
And then, Coach, on CJ's touchdown on that play, it just seemed like everybody see the sack and the ball may have come out, and even Mississippi State was letting up from your angle. I mean, did you see it was a fumble, and your just thoughts on CJ just playing out the whole play?
Playing out the play. Same thing we keep preaching, right? We're going to play the ball. We're going to play hard. We're going to play passionate. And I think we did that for, let's say 35 minutes of the game. I think there was a lull where we got comfortable. And I think that lull was how we practiced on Tuesday for the first 14 periods, is we just got comfortable, right? And that dog wasn't there. It was just comfort. And it was a great learning lesson for us that you can't get comfortable in a football game. There is no comfort. Until the whistle blows that says the game is over, you can't be comfortable.
When you use Cam out of the backfield a couple times in the receiving game, they kind of seem to get Sam a little bit more settled down and in rhythm. Is this something you kind of want to try to apply going forward, or it's just kind of whatever pace of the game is?
Yeah, I mean, just whatever the calls are, they keep him in rhythm. Like I said, we were at such a run-heavy. I mean, that was the most I've probably ever rushed the ball in my career in terms of rush to pass ratio. We're fairly balanced. I know Coach Arroyo's a quarterback guy, so that was a kind of an anomaly, to be honest, in terms of offensive football, right? We want to be balanced like we were last week, but at the end of the day, we were running the ball well. What's the definition of insanity, right? Isn't that expecting a different result when you do the same thing? So if the result is good, you should probably keep doing it, right? And that was kind of the mindset there. And 2 drives, like I said, they hopped into it, but we didn't put our quarterback in position to be in a rhythm there, because we thought we had a big enough lead that if we continued to run the ball and got 1 or 2 first downs on those next drives, it would have stayed a 2 to 3 possession game. The problem was we went 3 and out twice, and then we gave up a big play touchdown. If we don't have absolute catastrophe in those 3 drives, the worst 3 drives you could possibly have offensively and defensively, then that game's a 14, 17-point game, and it's no stress-free. We just got to do a better job in that middle period.
The offensive and defensive line, dominated most of the night, and you guys, won the trenches. How proud are you of just both of those units and how they performed all night long, and just, stopping the run and then, opening holes up for Scat?
Yeah, super proud. I mean, those guys are playing really, really good football right now. I don't know, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I'd be shocked if we were not over, 580 yards rushing this year and less than 80 given up, less than 90 given up. You're going to win a lot of football games if that's your ratio, right? And now we've got to be able to pick it up in the passing game, which we will do. Like I said, I did a bad job. I'm over there telling Coach Roy, keep running it. They can't stop it, right? And, that's the head coach side of me, but I'm forgetting that I ruined everything with the quarterback's rhythm, and that was a bad job by me. I should have just kept letting him kind of go with the flow and keep calling the game how he was calling it.
Coach, a bigger picture question. Just last week you talked about how y'all never beaten an SEC team, and then wanting the same kind of crowd as last week again. Just what does this win with the crowd showing up like they did again just kind of mean overall for the program?
Yeah, I think it's the first time in school history, 10,000 students in the student section, back-to-back games, which is awesome. I mean, you could feel the energy in the stadium. This is a fun place to be in when it's rocking. And hopefully, we can go out and play good football on the road the next 2 weeks and come back to another rocking stadium.
Coach, Adam Beadle, Sun Devil Source. Ian Hershey went 3 for 3 on his field goal attempts tonight. How good was it to see him be efficient out there tonight?
Awesome. His kick at the beginning of the third quarter was crucial. That's what made it a 4-possession game, because it was 24. That's 8 times 3, 24. Go for 2 every time, right? But that made it the 27-point game, which then made it 4 possessions, and that was a critical kick just in terms of the thought process of what they have to do offensively now. Like I said, the problem was after that, we just had 2 offensive series and 2 defensive series of absolute catastrophe, which is the only reason they got to come back in the game. If we would have gotten 1 first down or 2 first downs on those 2 drives, or 1 stop or not a touchdown on the 1 fourth down they went to, and we called double A gap blitz with an adder and we didn't add, Otherwise, it'd be tackle in the backfield. But yeah, it was upsetting that little bit of the middle period, and we got to clean that up.
Coach, what were you saying to Cam throughout the game, and specifically in that fourth quarter when he was able to kind of ice things and put the game away for you guys?
First, it was we're going to hand you the ball, and we're going to keep doing that because that's working, right? And then second was the last time I told you to slide to win a game, you scored. Make sure you slide, right? And that was UCLA. And he ran as far as he could. He could have scored a touchdown, and he slid. And that's the growth that he's had is Scat of last year goes and scores and gives them a chance to have 2 minutes left to go in the game, to go down and score, kick an onside kick, and try to win. Scat of this year falls down. We take 3 knees. We win the football game. That's the growth he's made as a person.
Hey, Coach, how did Canyon and Parker impact the field position game to help get you that win?
Drastically different than last year. I mean, they didn't return one kickoff. Just boots it out, and our punts were clean, and they were fast, and they were coming after him. I mean, they were all out pressure, and they knew we weren't going to fake it with that lead backed up, right? And they were coming after it, and it was great for our guys to see max pressures, and we can still get it off. Doesn't matter what they bring. If we do it right and you just do your job, right, you'll never get a pump blocked. If everybody just does their job, right, you will not get a pump. There's no scheme that can block it, right? They have to run through 300-pound people. If we all just do our job, we snap it right, we punt it on time, we keep our operation time low, we can punt it versus everything.
Hey, Kenny, you and your players obviously made the fact well known that this program has not been an SEC team. For you to have gone to this school, for you to have coached here, for you to now be the head coach, how does it feel for you to be in the position that you're in and have this kind of historic win on your resume?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. But like I told our guys in the locker room, like, I didn't even know that stat until Doug told me a week ago. Like, we didn't like, hey, let's train really hard to be the first team to, no, we didn't do that. We did it to be the very best team we could possibly be, and we play in 5 days. So I told them, celebrate, you should. Have fun, celebrate with each other, be smart, make good decisions, right? And when you wake up tomorrow, it's over. Like, you get your morning to get all your retweets in, right? Do your retweets, do your little Insta quotes, and do all your stuff that you want to do, right? That feels really, really good. And then later in the week, we'll do our little recap. We post out how great we were, right? And that's it. That's all you get. You have till tomorrow when we get back to work, right, at about 2 o'clock to really celebrate this thing. And then we're going to put it to bed, move on to Texas State, and then you get one more little quote tweet of the cool little video we post, right? And we're moving on because we got a really good team we play on Thursday night.
Hey, Coach. Brian Ward and your defense today seemed to come in with a really aggressive game plan. Felt like in the first half they were blitzing every other play. Can you kind of explain like what the thought process going in for the game plan was and why you guys thought to play so aggressively?
Yeah, well, I coach offense, and I don't like people blitzing me every other play, right? I mean, well, you have to have a plan for it, and it's good, and it is what it is. But when you have a defense that pitches to you, we want to be the pitcher on defense, right? We don't want to be the batter. We don't want to be reacting to curveballs and split fingers and knuckleballs and all that crap, right? Or the young Kim underhander, right? For the long time ago Diamondback fans, we don't want all that, right? We want to pitch. We want to be the aggressor. We want to throw the pitches, right? And guess what? Are they going to get us sometimes? Are they going to feel the curveball or the changeup coming? Yeah, they are. They are. They're going to get us. But you know what? I want to be an aggressive defense, and I think we showed that tonight early. And first half, we outscored them. And to hold that team, and I think a Jeff Lebby offense, I would love to see how many Jeff Lebby offenses have been held to that net of yards and points in his career, because that's one of the best offensive coaches in college football. And I would love, I don't know the direct stat, but I would love to do the research on that with Jeff. And because he is a phenomenal football coach, and to hold his types of offenses to that amount of points is pretty good football.
Kenny, can you talk about what Cam Skattebo means to you in this program and his historic night?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, he has so much passion. I mean, the guys feed off the passion. And I think that's the key to our football team is we play hard right now. Other than those, like I said, that middle period, I thought we got laxed and comfortable. But our guys love football. I mean, it sounds so simple. They just love football, right? They love to compete. and he's the ultimate competitor.
Coach Ryan Myers, Devil's Digest. Was there a point, obviously last week, you guys had a very spread out running game, but this week, was there a point where you were just like, hey, let's just get the ball to number 4 and keep feeding him over and over again?
Yes. Yeah, there was. In the middle of the second quarter, when I looked up and it was 140 yards rushing and he had like 120 and 8 yards of carry, and I'm watching us run wide zone versus the odd front and getting on a post and getting on a cover 2 safety, and like, yeah, let's keep doing that, please. Let's make them change it. And kudos to them. You know, they get paid to coach too. They're in the after the first drive in the second half, they came out and they just said, screw it, we're going to get into our big people and force you to throw it. So they got us there. And I got a little stubborn probably with Coach Arroyo. I probably put too many handcuffs on him just in terms of I want to run the ball. And I got to do a better job because I feel like that's why our offense stalled. It wasn't anything with Coach Arroyo. It wasn't anything with Sam. It was me kind of putting handcuffs on us. And I got to get out of their way.
Yeah, Kenny, you didn't have Dorba, Crook,
Clark, Tate
Romney, Welch. What does that say about the performance that you had, given that maybe 20% of your two deep wasn't even out there?
Next man up. Like that's what we're about. We work. Like our guys practice. You guys are at the practices. Like our practices aren't like, what is it, like cupcakes and rainbows. Like we get after that thing. Like we practice, and practice should be harder than the game. So I think when you have that mindset and your guys do that, the fact that with all those guys out and we performed how we performed, I'm excited. Knock on wood, everybody you just mentioned, everybody that didn't play in today's game should be back. Some will be back for state. Some will be back for tech. Everybody should be back during the bye week. Every single person we just mentioned. So we're getting reinforcements back. And that's exciting because we're only going to get better and better and better. And the more our team plays together, the more our young quarterback plays, we're going to grow and grow and grow.
Did it surprise you that they didn't have more explosive plays for the first 25 minutes, 30 minutes of the game?
I mean, that was the plan, was to limit the explosives. We dominate up front. I felt like we had an advantage up front. So dominate up front, limit the explosives. Kudos to Shamari. Batted big play there on the first slot fade. They tried to throw on him, and unbelievable coverage. And our guys were prepared. I think there in the third quarter, they got us. We had a PI on a 2nd and 10. Yep, right. I'm not fond of it. Right, I thought it was really good defense. And then we had a defensive holding on a 3rd and 11. You can't get those types of penalties versus a good offense. If you don't have those penalties, that's 2 of their drives. That could be 14 points in the game. Getting them off the field in the 4th down, my fault. And then 2nd and 11, 2nd and 12. So I think our guys played really, really well. We can't get penalties like that. And there's certain dynamics for penalties that I'm fully aware of. Just when you play out of conference games, and it's part of it.
Kenny, tonight seemed like a perfect storm in which a guy that stuck around got rewarded. Cam, after a 3-9 season, comes back, gets back to work, drops 10 to 12 pounds, readies himself for this kind of a moment. Could you speak to the commitment that he's shown to the program in the early stages?
Yeah, like I said, I really challenged him after last year, and I said, listen, if you want to play on Sundays, I've coached 6 backs. I've been lucky, knock on wood. Every back but one of mine since I've been a coordinator has played on Sundays. And that has nothing to do with me. It has to do with I coach good players, right? And lucky me, right? And I said, right now you're not one. And if you want to be one, you're going to drop weight, right? You're going to get in better shape. You're going to be faster. You're going to control. You're going to control your passion, and you're going to channel it. And he's done everything I've asked him. So right now, that looked like a Sunday player.
Finish up with Kelsey and then Sean.
Hey, Coach.
Hello.
Congratulations. Hey, congratulations on the win. Last week you talked a lot about the leadership from specifically some of your transfers that were captains. And so at one point in the game towards the end, it could have went one way or another. The momentum started to go their way. So talk a little bit about that leadership, and the players before talked about that O-line conversation was we need to step up. If you could talk a little bit more of the leadership of how we turned that game around and didn't let it get out of our hands.
Yeah, I think those guys just kind of took a deep breath. It's like, whoa, we're winning. And we have the ball. Like, this is way better than the reciprocal. Let's just go finish. Just go play our game, right? And I think that was, we're an emotional team. I'm fully aware of that. Like, we're a passionate team. I'm emotional. I'm passionate, right? So the team's going to feed off of that. So I think when you're like that, you've got to be able to handle the lows better. And I got to handle the lows better. Our team's going to handle the lows better. But the fact that we could get out of the low, right, was something we couldn't do last year. We couldn't figure out how to get out of the low. And winning games is all about managing the highs and the low and the waves of the game, right? And the fact that, we did have too many lows there in the middle, right? But the fact we figured it out is something that we needed. And, we're in year 2. Like, this is the beginning of this process, right? And we need more of that. And, it's not ideal because, like I said, it's probably 3 months off my life every single time something like that happens. But for our football team, we need that. We need to have to respond over and over again so we can callous these guys, because the best programs in college football are so accustomed to the waves of the game that nothing faces them. Look at Oklahoma State today. Prime example. That team just wins. The wave of the game never faced them.
Kenny, coming into this game, you guys kind of knew that Mississippi State's offense was going to play at a high tempo. So what was your assessment of how your defense kind of kept up with that and shut them down for most
I
of the
thought they
game?
did a phenomenal job there. And shout out, something that, not everybody will see, but to Vince Amy. Obviously, Vince played here in 96, right? He's one of our D-line coaches here. I've been harping on substitution patterns and being a lead at subbing. And he did such a great job subbing the D-line to slow the tempo down when they subbed. And I think that's one of the little things in a game that nobody notices, but that's also one of the things that good teams do. They do all the little crap right. And that was something that showed up with Vince tonight, was the ability to just sub to slow tempo down was something that was awesome to see and to see it work.